Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Got something very exciting in the mail today. This is from Joseph Delgado of Bonwire, Texas. He makes really cool, rather small Morse code keys that are made of plastic or plastic and aluminum, and they are 3D printed, okay? And I've done reviews of his straight keys before, and his straight keys are also sold through MFJ. Now, MFJ sells basically a straight key and then from another vendor a set of paddles. Whereas if you order it directly from Joseph, you can get all kinds of different colors, and he can do things for you to make it just the way you want it. So he said he was going to send me something new. This is new from Joseph, is paddles. Paddles for Morse code are used with an iambic keyer to send Morse code. Boy, it's got some heft to it. Let's see what we got here. Now, if you're going portable, you want something that's nice and light. If you're going to work from your station, having something that's pretty heavy is a good idea because it doesn't move around a lot on your desk. And I can see what we've got here is something designed for station use because it's got this big heavy metal plate on the bottom, and then it's got the 3D printed parts up here on the top, including the two paddles. All right. Now we're going to take this thing apart and see everything that is inside. It's just, well, there you go. You can see what's inside. We've got screws to adjust the tension. We've got the paddles here. And I'll read what, oh, there's a spring down in there. There's a spring that keeps these apart. And so these are, the parts are 3D printed and nice and smooth, beautifully printed. And the soldering and so on is done by hand. And this just puts a little cover over that so you don't accidentally drop something down in on the key. Now it also comes with a little wrench, two wrenches, a wrench and an Allen wrench for adjustment. And then here is a short cable. This will plug in to the key, and then this plugs into your transceiver. And if you have a problem with whether the thing is backwards, you get dits when you want DAs and so on. You can usually change that in the programming on your radio, okay? So that's what's inside, along with this little religious literature here, some well-chosen verses from the King James Bible, which is a personal thing from him. So this looks like a fairly nice little unit. I'm going to hook this up to my QRP radio and see what kind of code I can put out with this. It's heavy, so it won't move around on you on the table. The fact that it's heavy does make it maybe a little less likely as a solution for backpacking. And I'll have to look on his website and see if you can get this, say, with a lighter piece or here, because a lot of people, when they're sending in the woods, have a hand free that they can put down on top of the thing and then go ahead and do their sending. Okay? So when we do the next part of the video on this, showing this little key, we'll talk about iambic keying, the different kinds of keyers, and that sort of thing. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the background that goes with this particular keyer. Morse code is arranged like this. There's the basic unit of length is the length of a dit, okay? And a da is composed of 3 dit lengths, so it's longer. The spacing between elements in the word is a dit spacing. The spacing between words is 7 dit spaces. This is the official version of Morse code. Of course, people are sending this manually, so it can sound a little bit different. The basic device for sending Morse code is the telegraph key. This is a military key from World War II, but it's made after the same design that had been in use for a long time. Right in there, you see the gap? There, it's closed. Okay, that's how it's done. Now, the way an operator would use this would be to hold the key and, see, I have one finger underneath, hold the key and form the dots and dashes, you know, dit, 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 da, 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 and so on. Now, the proper way of sending it is to have your elbow on the table and the key so arranged that you're kind of pivoting off your elbow. Because if you do it from here, you can guess what's going to happen to your hand or your wrist. You're going to get carpal tunnel. You need to do it from the elbow. Now, the key itself is good for slow speeds. About the fastest I can go on a straight key is about 18 words a minute. Some operators are really good and can go up to around 30 words a minute. Now, somebody came up with a different type of key. This is a paddle that goes from side to side. There's nothing special about this paddle. Both sides here are connected to the output, so if you push either way, you get a sound. And what people would do with this is they would find that rather than doing the up and down motion, if they just did from side to side with their fingers with minimal movement, so they can pivot on their elbow with very minimal movement. And what they would do is make the dashes dit, 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 and then with usually the thumb, and then with the forefinger the das, da, 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 da. Okay, these are still in use. They're called sideswipers, sometimes cooties, and you can actually get this one for about $30 from Electronics USA. Now, the major innovation was the development of the Vibroplex. The Vibroplex kind of does half of what a keyer does. If you push the paddle this way and hold it, it pushes this pendulum and it starts to go back and forth depending on where the weight is. If the weight's back, it goes slower. If the weight's up closer, it goes faster. And when the pendulum vibrates, this contact hits this contact and you get dits. So you go dit, 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 and then you form your dashes the other way manually, okay, like you would on a cootie. Okay, so da, 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 did, 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 da, 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 did, 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 did. Okay, and these are still in use. They're still sold. The Vibroplex name is widely considered to be the oldest name in ham radio, because these were put together over 100 years ago when they were first built. They were built for Morse telegraph lines. They're designed to go from about 20 minutes on up. So only experienced operators who were working on both ends of the line with an experienced operator were allowed to use these bugs, and the operators owned them. They were their own bugs, and they treat these things very carefully. I mean, after all, they were their livelihood. Now, a couple things about this. Since the DAWs are made manually, okay, the length depends on the operator's perception of how the dits and the DAWs compare. What often happened was that the DAWs would be too long. Instead of just 3 dits, they could sometimes go all the way to 4. Operators who tended to make their DAWs too long were said to have an Erie swing for the Erie Canal. But these are still in use today. You can buy them. They're not dreadfully expensive, but Vibroplex is alive and well. And You can go online and buy these. Now, the next step came when somebody went back to this basic design here and said, what if I build a little electronic keyer so that if I move the lever this way, I get dits, and if I move the lever this way, I get das. Now, to do that requires something called a keyer. It's a little electronic box that takes the signal and gets the timing right. And around the 60s and 70s, these started to become very popular because people could get higher speed code and it would be perfectly formed. The dash would be exactly 3 times the length of a dot and so on. I remember when they were very popular, I was very interested in it myself. Well, a guy named Curtis, that's his last name, came up with this interesting idea. What would happen if he had 2 levers instead of 1? So you push it this way, you get your dots. Push it this way, you get your dits. By the way, I'm transmitting into a dummy load. The dits. Okay, dits, das. And then you could just, by going this way, but now here is the interesting thing about this Curtis idea of keying. Hold the 2 together and you get an alternate da-da, 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 da-da. Well, in poetry, that's called an iambic pentameter. Da-da, 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 da-da. And so these are called this plus the electronics to actually form the dits and das, which is built in here to the little QRP radio, is called an iambic keyer. Now, it actually takes less movement. So a K, instead of like that, I could do, let's take a look real close. See, I'm holding this down, but anytime I hit this, it interjects a dot. So CQ is, see, I'm holding this for the whole length of Q and just pushing that in there. Similarly, if you want to put that was an L, if you want to put the da in there. And this is kind of the current state of the art in manual keying. Let's come up to a little bit bigger. This is the one that we're reviewing, and I can already tell you I love it. It's got a nice feel. The base is quite heavy. Now, I want to compare this with the standard. For an iambic set of paddles, dual paddle set, whatever. This is the Bencher BY1, and it is made of a very solid base that is very heavy. I believe it is steel. And then this recognizable configuration here on top, and the 2 paddles are made there. And so the contacts are here and here. This is connected to my main rig. Unfortunately, it has only a 1/4 inch connector on the end, so it won't plug into my QRP rig. This has essentially the same thing. If you look underneath, you've got paddles with the connections right in here, okay? You have the connections right in here. The thing is touching that screw and going off over here to a plug. And this is a stereo cable, so because it's got to have the ground and then the dits and the das. Now, most radios have the capability, if you plug this in and it's backwards, or you want it backwards, you're left-handed, say, then you can switch this in software, whether this is the dit paddle or the da paddle. Normally, this is the dit paddle. Okay, so very nice little paddle. It has a very nice feel that is remarkably similar to the BY1. And you know, you can spend a bloody fortune on keys. The nice thing about this key is its price. Its price is very low. So that gives you an idea of why we want key paddles with 2 paddles here, so you can have da-da, da-da, da-da. And if you want to take this with you portable, some radios actually have a little attachment you can build into the side of the QRP radio. This one right here, being a little bit heavy, that's a chunk of metal that you're going to have to carry in your backpack or in your go-kit. Go-kit's not so bad because you're probably throwing that in a car. But one of the things about this, it's very nice. It doesn't skip around on the desk. Now, it comes with this cable, which happens to just plug right into the radio. Now, one slight confession to make. This cable, the one that came with this key, unfortunately has a problem. And when I plug it into here, it starts emitting DAWs, just plugging the thing in. So this cable I got from another Delgado key, and it works very well. So it was not a fault in this, but probably a fault in the cable. If you have an issue with the cable, you can talk to them and get that straightened out. So there you have it, a very quick introduction to the Delgado keys and the paddle set here that they sell for very, very low prices. It's just nice to see Morse code equipment that isn't more expensive than the radio itself, because a lot of it is. You can pay $500 for a straight key if you want. I picked up this one, which is a beautiful key. It's a J38. It's all here. I picked it up for $5 at a Hamfest, and I'd rather use this straight key than probably any other straight key. Although this particular radio has a little key built in right there. It's kind of crazy. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to check out dcasler.com/support and check out ways that you can support this channel. The biggest way you can support this channel is just simply to subscribe. When you subscribe, you are telling YouTube, hey, this is a channel that people should take notice of. And then click on like, which shows your engagement. And even better, leave a comment. That helps other people find the channel. It encourages YouTube to show the channel to other hams and hams-to-be. And I hope you enjoy this. If there's anything you would like to see me talk about, put it in a comment, or you can send a question to hamradioanswers@gmail.com, and I'll answer those in the Saturday live stream. So there you go. Until we meet next, 73.